Welcome back, everybody. This is another fantastic episode of For the North. I am PJ.
I am Chris.
And welcome to it. So we're now getting down to it. We discussed last week that the playoff picture is coming into focus. We're into late December. It's going to be Christmas next week. So we're fast approaching the end of the season with only two games left. Three
games left.
Thank you. 3 games left.
Yep.
So things are kind of coming into focus. Things are starting to tighten up, specifically in the NFC North. That a loss means the difference between being the 2 seed or the 7 seed or possibly the 1 seed. So it's there's a lot to still play for in the NFC North right now, but there was some interesting action this past weekend with we'll start off with Bears Browns. The Browns traveled to Soldier Field and played a game in which we thought we exactly what we thought would happen is what happened during that game. Mind you that it was frigid cold at Soldier Field. I think the wind chill was somewhere around -20 at Soldier Field this past weekend. So for any of you that were out at Soldier Field, I commend you. that's a very cold place to be, but they the Bears took care of business, did exactly what they needed to do, won their 10th game and beat the Browns handily. And from the get-go, the Browns offense couldn't find any sort of footing, and there were penalties that derailed drives, and Shadur Sanders just kind of in general looked lost against the Bears defense. I don't know if you have what your assessment of it was or how much you watched of it.
I more want to comment on the Shadur Sanders. Like, everybody was like, oh, start Shadur Sanders, he's going to make a difference, he's going to start winning games. He hasn't proven he can be that winner yet.
No.
Even against Abbott's teams, he just hasn't proven he can put up much of a fight. Now, is he new to the NFL and still has time to improve? Yeah, I'm not going to say that he's a bust this season. He's also not playing for a very great organization right now.
No.
But you need to, figure something out if you're the Browns organization. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them move on from Stefanski. Great play by Caleb Williams. Great play by the defense of the Bears. We will see how they do in the playoffs. I think they do have a chance to get the number 1 seed here in the next couple weeks. They have a couple.
They got big games coming up.
Yeah,
the Bears do. I mean, I think down the stretch, it's pretty much an inevitability at this point that we are going to see the Bears in the playoffs, whether that's as a wild card team, whether that's as the division winner of the NFC North. That picture is kind of yet to come to fruition. We're going to know more about that after this weekend's game, and we'll talk about that more as we preview the matchups for week 16? Yeah, week
Yeah.
16. Um, but I think at this point, it's pretty much, barring a major meltdown, the Bears are going to be in the playoffs. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, by major meltdown, I mean they would have to lose every game in front of them, and some other things would need to happen in the NFC North. The Lions would need to win everything in front of them. Um, so, you know, I see the Bears as a playoff team at this point. Um, where they're going to be in that kind of equation is yet to be seen. But I will say this: Caleb Williams has been playing phenomenal football. Ben Johnson has, in year one, elevated that offense and that defense to kind of taking them out of the really a really bad place in terms of locker room culture and locker room chemistry. Last year, when you were watching the Bears lose all these games, and all of a sudden now Ben Johnson has the Bears on the cusp of being in the discussion as a playoff contender, and even having the discussion of, okay, if you can string together some wins at the end of the season here, they could be a championship contender, which is not that's something we have not said about the Bears in a decade.
I mean, we'll see too. One thing I want to note about the Bears and their schedule, not to knock this season because they have won some tough games.
Yeah.
They have had one of the easier schedules in the NFC North this season, purely because they took, fourth place last year.
Yeah.
But that's not knocking them. I just it's going to be interesting to see what they can put together in the playoffs. I'd be hesitant to make any predictions on our bets on them right now if I was a betting person.
Right, exactly. Like I'm not putting major money down for them to make a deep run at this point or do anything. But both you and I are not betting people. We have friends. We have people that we know that do bet, and I will say this: we are not sponsored by any sports books or any gambling entity. But if you are going to sports gamble, do it responsibly and do it smart. Okay.
Well, the reason I say that too is because the Bears have had a great season from where they were last year. The turnaround is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I would say a lot of games they have played have been good games, not great games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's to me, it's I'm waiting for the true top to bottom, all three phases of the game being won. I want to see a team I want to see the Bears go out and just have a dominating victory against a really elite team, and again, like you said, not to knock their schedule because they're playing a fourth place schedule. It's just I haven't really been overly impressed by the wins that they do have. Yeah, 10 wins. It's hard to win in the NFL, but there's just not that true signature win yet that tells me, yep, that's a contender. They're making a deep playoff run. They're going to the Super Bowl. But then again, you know me. I'm not a Bears fan, so I wouldn't say that about the Bears anyhow. So.
Right, and it's just I feel like you look at it too, there's going to be skepticism about this year, especially if the Bears have an early exit from the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think the Bears will have an early exit from the playoffs. Whether it depends on how it lays out at the end of the season, but my reasoning for that is because I've seen the Vikings win plenty of one-score games the way the Bears have this season.
Yep.
And the same thing happens. So I'm going from experience, and that would be my, way too early prediction.
Yeah, they
what
run
would happen.
into.
But I don't think it's unwarranted because I've seen teams do it. I've seen the Packers do it in previous years where they won unconventional one score games. Definitely have seen the Lions do it recently.
We saw the
And
Vikings
the
do it.
Vikings have also so like the Bears they did, if they don't repeat the pattern, they're an anomaly to the NFC North and the NFL in general.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say we drew that comparison line a few episodes. We talked about how there are similarities between this Bears team and the way that they have been winning, and that Vikings team that won all of those one-score games back a few years ago, and then all of a sudden got into the playoffs. And what bit that Vikings team all year was their defense just gave up points, lots of points. And I'm seeing these close victories where the Bears defense is giving up a lot of points. And I just think come playoff time, you're going to run into a Los Angeles or a San Francisco or, there's going to be a team that's going to find out a way to stop your offense, and your defense is going to give up too many points, and you're going to go home disappointed. But that's kind of, as I said, that will be a picture that's going to come clearer as we get through these last three games and kind of figure out where seeding is playoff wise. But the Bears have the culture shift and the flip that we have had that we've got to witness from last year to this year for the Bears has been a phenomenal turnaround. And what Ben Johnson has done is kind of nothing short of really being recognized as kind of one of the best coaching hires, new coaching hires in the NFL this year.
Oh yeah, and I agree. Ben Johnson is amazing with what he's done with the Bears organization. I don't think either you or I would dispute that. We'll just see where it goes from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I think they have a good coach and a good quarterback? Yes. What's going to happen with their tougher strength of schedule next year, especially with they'll have some concerns to address in the offseason. And we're going to do a separate podcast on that later down the road.
Exactly. We'll have lots to talk about. So with that, speaking of Ben Johnson and a coach who formerly was a coordinator for the Lions, I think we should talk about the Lions and the Rams, one of the phenomenal afternoon games. In the early goings of that game last week, the Lions looked like they had command of this game. They were, leading at one point and, kind of really trying, making defensive plays and defensive stops, and the, offense, like the Lions offense has done in so many games, looked really good. And then things seem to kind of fall apart at the seams for them, and they end up with a close but a tough loss on the road to Los Angeles. And we discussed this before we hopped on the podcast. Matthew Stafford at this point seems to just have the Lions number. He knows how to beat them at this point.
Well, yeah, and we look at something's gone wrong with I feel like with the offensive and defensive coordinators, Dan Campbell doesn't necessarily trust them in big time games like this one was, because they needed to win this to keep their hopes alive to even consider contending.
Yeah.
Or I mean, they still could, but again, it would be Packers would have to lose all their games. The Bears would have to lose all their games.
Yeah.
And then the Lions would have to win out, which I don't see happening necessarily. It just seems like there is some drama within the organization in Detroit, and that always spells trouble, especially in games like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was a game that, like, if you can kind of keep the your foot on the gas and you can manage to beat the Rams, who have been just absolutely on fire for a number of weeks now, right? They're the one seed in the NFL, or the NFC, I should say, right now, and they'd been absolutely on a hot streak. And Detroit, as you said, needed to win this game so they could stay in the conversation and not be on the outside looking in. And now the margin has become razor thin. You have to win every game in front of you if you're the Lions. If you're going to make the playoffs, you need the Packers to lose games. You need the Bears to lose games. So this, what would have been comfortable if you had won now became a little bit impossible to happen. That's not to say I don't think that some crazy things can't happen as we go through these last three games of the season, but I just really think that the Lions season, with the way that this has, you mentioned kind of the trust issues that we're seeing with the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator from Dan Campbell, for the Lions. I think it's probably going to end in them not making the playoffs this year, being on the outside looking in, maybe being 1 or 2 games away from really getting the job done. And that's unfortunate because for the past few years, the Lions have been the king of the division, and they've had this championship window opened up for a few years really, where they could have, made a run, and they were being talked about as a Super Bowl team. So again, it's just kind of this drastic reversal of expectations, is probably the word for it.
Do you think Dan Campbell is in the hot seat? Not this upcoming season. I think he keeps his job.
Yeah.
Going in, but he has to do well next season to keep his current job right now.
Yeah, I think you can't have another season. Like, if you have another season where you only win, it's kind of become the standard at this point that you have to win 10 plus games in the NFC North. The way that it's been so competitive, you need to win 10 plus games to really be in playoff consideration, playoff contention. I think if he has another season where he only wins 8 or 9 games, if he gets that 10 win threshold, I think his seat is certainly going to be uncomfortable, and they start to think about, in the off season, next season, right, about making a move, finding a head coach that can, call the plays, or it's like, I don't know who that would be, but I do think that his seat is going to get hot if this kind of downward trend of not making the playoffs continues for them. So, but that's not to say Lions are still a very talented team, but right now, like we said, they're on the outside looking in, and you needed to beat the Rams. Heck, I wanted them to beat the Rams. Just because it would have been fortuitous for the Packers, but we'll get to that in a second here when we talk about the Packers. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Packers.
Yeah.
Packers really got destroyed by the Broncos. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, whether that's injury, but at the same time, I don't think I could trust. I don't trust the coaching staff or Jordan Love to help right this ship, because they haven't shown me that they can do it without big stars or help from the defense or anything like that. And I'm like, yes, you need to play complementary football. I'm not saying the defense shouldn't help the offense.
Right.
That is absurd to think like you can only have one one element of the game present, unless it was the Green Bay Dallas game where it was all offense this season.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of painting this picture that maybe the Packers aren't as good as people initially thought they were going to be. Especially now with us going in the stretch and them losing out on some key games here.
Well, and so, I mean, we've talked about this, that all year there's been some inconsistency from the Packers. What I did see in the last few weeks and these last few games is that the offense had been clicking and playing really well, and Jordan Love was, making plays where he needed to make plays, and Christian Watson was looking fantastic. And, you know, for for the first half of that game, until the injuries started to pile up for the Packers, they at one point in the third quarter had a 9-point lead, and you're looking at this team, this Packers team, at least as a fan, I was saying, okay, this is what we've been wanting. We wanted to go into a tough environment and play against an elite level team and have the lead and be able to really prove that we're a championship contender. As things started to unravel and the Broncos offense really started to take over and that defense really was able to just kind of attack and get Jordan Love down on the ground, things unraveled very quickly in that game. But, um, injuries certainly to me should never be an excuse I don't like to use injuries as an excuse. In the NFL, every guy gets paid millions of dollars, or they get paid a lot of money to lace up their cleats and go make plays. Whether that's the first string guy or whether that's the third string guy, you have a job and you got to play the guys that are on your roster.
Yeah, the Broncos had the Packers number. Nothing the Packers were doing defensively or offensively was working.
Yeah, I mean, in the second half, no, the wheels came off of this thing in the second half. In the first half, I was very excited about the way the Packers were playing. Josh Jacobs was looking really great. Christian Watson looked really great. Jordan Love was playing phenomenal. And what I will say right now is, despite the devastating injury to Micah Parsons, that's definitely a blow to your defensive performance. Losing Micah Parsons to an ACL is just a gut punch. But right now, the Packers have 3 games to play, and you still have it in front of you to try and win your division and make the playoffs. And I that's not to say that I think that they're going to make any sort of run or that they're a contender at this point, but I do think it's in front of them to try and do everything that they can to try and win the division and make the playoffs at this point. I don't think, like, I disagree with everybody or a large section of the fan base that just gave up on this team after they watched Micah Parsons blow out his ACL. Everybody online was saying, "Oh, season's over. Pack it in. We're done. We're not making the playoffs. We're not making a run. This is all done. We've failed." And I just disagree with that sentiment. There are 3 games left. The Packers still have a lot to play for, and I think the goal right now is do everything that you can to try and win the division and make the playoffs. I firmly believe the Packers are a playoff team. How far they're going to go, I'm not certain right now.
Right, and whether they're a wild card or divisional playoff team, it's going to be up in the air.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Like, it's like, I don't know if they're going to be the 2 seed or if they're going to be the 7 seed, but either way, I firmly believe the Packers are still going to make the playoffs. So.
Right. Well, and the Packers are another team where it's like they haven't shown the consistency
Yeah.
to show me that they can make a deep run, which is why you don't say right now like that they're going to make a deep run or not going to make a deep run. We'll assess that a little bit more here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. We'll know more.
Yeah.
We'll know more. But
Well,
like I said, there's a lot in front of them to play for, and giving up on the season to me is crazy from a fan perspective right now. You know.
right now, if you want to say like, oh, hey, I don't think we're going to go very far in the playoffs, I'd say that would be an accurate,
Oh,
assessment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, immediately, like the loss of Micah Parsons, like immediately kind of took you from like hey, we could like make a run in the playoffs to like, okay, now this feels like we might be, flipping a coin here. We might be taking a roll of the dice and taking our chances. But you know what I will say? If they do make the
Yeah.
playoffs, it's no different than any time Aaron Rodgers had a crappy defense in the playoffs, right?
I
So,
mean, other than, yeah,
like,
it was Aaron Rodgers, but
like I mean, well, right. I, but the point I'm making is Green Bay historically has never had a good defense going into the playoffs, so we're just back at exactly where we've always been when we make the playoffs. So that's why I have a little bit of optimism, but it's a sliver. It's just a sliver.
yeah.
Oh fudge. Well, the final game, the Sunday night slate between Dallas and Minnesota actually turned out to be a phenomenal game. I tuned into a little bit of it. Did not watch it probably as intently as you did, but I ended up being a phenomenal game. I would like to point out that we were right that we were both right that Dallas was going to end up losing that game, and we finally, I think, in my opinion, got the version of JJ McCarthy that we've been talking about. JJ McCarthy that is relaxed and comfortable and just you know, letting the throws come to him and making the plays that he needs to make, not trying to be, Superman and not trying to do 1,001 things. He just looked loose and free like he was having fun. And I haven't seen that version of JJ McCarthy probably since like week one, fourth quarter, when they came back and beat the Bears. So like,
Or even the Lions game early on this year was
yeah,
also.
exactly, exactly. I just think like that version of JJ McCarthy when you get just loose, free flowing football, and Kevin O'Connell can just kind of call the plays that kind of allow JJ McCarthy to use his abilities to his best ability.
To
Um,
be to be fair, JJ McCarthy. So like, we can say Kevin O'Connell like had some questionable play calls. Um, to be fair, JJ McCarthy should have also been looking at a shorter field to see if he could complete a couple easy passes to get it because they were there. He just either didn't make the throw earlier or tried to throw it downfield into double coverage, and that did not work out for him.
no,
Um,
no.
so it was refreshing to see him look different ways. And then when he threw that ball to Addison, that was when I actually started to tune in because I was busy doing something else. So yeah, I turned it on. He caught that ball, and I was like, "Oh wow, we might have a pretty good game on our hands." And that sell on his first touchdown was amazing because everybody thought Jordan Mason had the ball.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal play call. I love a little Statue of Liberty action.
All
Always
right.
love, I go back to. Do you remember? Okay, like maybe, like Do you remember that the Oklahoma Boise State game that featured Adrian Peterson and it ended on a Statue of Liberty play? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
remember that.
Yeah, so like ever since that game, I have always loved a Statue of Liberty play, like just like absolutely freeze the defense, make them think the running back has it, and just the quarterback just leaks out, and just brilliant, brilliant fake. So, I mean, I truly do mean this when I say this. JJ McCarthy looked like he was having legitimate fun out there. Like this is the first time that I have seen him look like he's having legitimate fun, and I think in large part that's probably because a lot of the pressure was taken off, right? Where it's like, if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I'm just telling JJ McCarthy, go out there, have fun, don't worry about making the perfect play. Like, that's not what we're asking of you. What we're asking of you, JJ, is to go out there and just play to your best ability. And that's what this past Sunday night against Dallas was. It was him playing to his best ability, and we've pointed this out before. There's still things to be improved upon, and this is going to be a steady upward climb for development of JJ McCarthy. But you know, he doesn't have to be perfect. That's not what anyone's expecting out of a quarterback that's starting his, what is this, eighth, ninth? I can't remember what number game this is, but he's does not have a lot of starting experience under his belt. So, effectively, without this being his rookie season, this is his rookie season for him because his rookie season got derailed by an injury. So,
yeah, it would be his eighth because he is 4-4.
4-4
as a starter.
Yeah, which like going into this game, the Vikings had found out that just based off of the way things stacked out, that 1% chance to make the playoffs had disappeared, and they were mathematically eliminated before the game was played. So I think at this point, now you have an ideal situation where you can just play with house money. The pressure is off. There's not this, insistence that you have to go out and be perfect and you're trying to win every game in front of you to make the playoffs. It's just, okay, now we can go out and just play football and see what we get out of McCarthy the rest of the year. See see what we're going to do about Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson in the off season. And, I think a little bit of it is too, now the Vikings are in this role where they can play spoiler a little bit. They've got 2 divisional games coming up, one against the Lions, one against the Packers. They might be able to kind of, as I said, with them playing house money, they can play spoiler here at the end of the year for a couple of teams.
I mean, and they already did against the Cowboys, which a lot of fans, so NFL fans, well, thank JJ McCarthy for.
He did God's work. That was fantastic. When you texted me that, I was like, thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really, well, simultaneously, like the Vikings might not be able to make the playoffs. They might have been eliminated, but you know what? They're dang it, they're going to go out there and they're going to eliminate the Cowboys from playoff contention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we got another divisional game coming up. It'll be the Packers and the Bears at Lambeau Field this time.
Yeah. This one's at Soldier Field. Oh, this one's at
Soldier. Oh, yeah, no, never mind. This is at Soldier Field. The last one, which was recently, was at Lambeau. Yes. Yep. Thank you for. Again, this podcast is very late, but we are making less and less mistakes as we go on. So
that's the first blunder for this entire episode. So
right, by either of us, which is amazing.
Yeah. Write that down in history. So yeah, this is a Saturday night game. This is the primetime game in a doubleheader day for Saturday football. My thoughts, I kind of said it before we got to this point. The Packers, the Packers still have a lot to play for, right? Like this is not a situation if you are the Packers team, if you're the Packers organization and front office. This is not a folded up situation. Losing Micah Parsons and all the injuries that piled up and a tough loss in Denver does not mean that your season is over. I think you need to go out, like if you are the Packers and you're Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and all those guys in the locker room, you need to go out there and realize that things are still in front of you and there's a lot to compete for. This is a game that, like, it's a big divisional game. It's your biggest rival, the oldest rivalry in the NFL. So this is one that, like, I think if you're the Packers, you got to get up and win this game. This is also from the other perspective. I will say, if you are the Bears and you want to tell me that you are truly going to flip the script on the way that you're viewed in the NFC North, in the NFC in general, the way that people view you as a playoff contender, as a possible Super Bowl contender, you need to go out, if you're Chicago, and win this game. So both teams kind of have this perspective where you need to win this game. That being said, I am a Packers fan till the day that I die. There is nothing in my body, there's not a bone in my body that will allow me to pick the Bears to win a game against the Packers. You know that. Granted, this is going to be a close game. I think this will be a high-scoring affair just because of the way that both defenses have played. I'm going to go, like, Packers by 3 in a high-scoring game, like a 27-24, something like that.
Yeah, in a more unbiased opinion, I gotta say that I like the Bears for a couple of different reasons.
Yeah.
The Bears have an amazing secondary, at least in their safeties, for sure.
Yeah.
Jordan Love likes to throw the ball downfield.
He does.
Especially in times where he doesn't have to. I think the Bears have been pretty good at getting pressure on the quarterback as well. I think there are some, little nicks and bruises too. So I think if Jordan Love can get the ball out of his hands quickly, he will either A, throw the short pass, which he doesn't always do, or he will B, throw it downfield. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's going to try to throw it downfield, and I wouldn't be surprised to see at least 2 picks on this game. At least 2, maybe even more. It's come down to some questionable coaching too. The defense is very banged up. Don't be surprised to see the Bears win by 7.
Okay. All right. I agree with everything you're saying there. I completely understand that. The Bears secondary, the Bears defense has been very opportunistic. They've been creating turnovers at a very high clip, and that has given them the extra opportunities that they need to get their offense on the field and score points and win these games, specifically close one-score games. I also do agree with you. Jordan Love and the Packers, they like to throw the ball down the field. That is part of their DNA. It's not a it might happen, it will happen. If they can take a shot down the field, Jordan Love likes to do it. Whether that is helpful to the offense at that time or not, it's something that Jordan Love likes to do.
So it's infuriating. It's been infuriating this season, in other words.
There have been moments where I'm really excited about it, and then there have been moments where I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do you need to do that? It's 3rd and 1. why are we throwing a 40-yard pass? Like, what are we doing? So again, there's been this inconsistency this year, but both teams have a lot to play for, and this is a really big you need to win it game from both sides. And this is another scenario where, in the same place we were a couple of weeks ago, the winner of this game ends up first place in the NFC North, and the loser of this game ends up as the 7 seed. So like this ends up shifting the playoff picture. So we could, essentially, based off of the result, just trade places in terms of playoff seeding again. So.
Yeah, and I would say this is a must win for the Packers if they want to take first place.
Oh yeah, no, you need, if you're going to win this division, you need to beat the Bears this weekend. I would like to beat the Bears just to have it so we swept the Bears. That'd be very nice. But obviously right now with the injuries the way they are, after the game in Denver, that's going to be a much tougher task than it was a week ago. So we're going to see. I think it's going to be a rock fight, high scoring game, but I still have confidence. I have not given up on the Packers, and I also will not pick the Bears to win. So,
that's fine.
That's fine,
yeah.
Right? Oh, with that being said, oh man. So next game, Sunday on Fox, noon game, Vikings at Giants. I'll let you give your thoughts as the resident Vikings fan.
I think the Vikings are going to kind of sweep the floor with the Giants. I like this matchup just because it is for the Giants, it's a pretty mediocre offense going against a pretty good defense. Though I love Jameis Winston, and I really want him to do well in the NFL. I don't think he's set up for success.
Yeah,
where he's at. So
I heard possibility that it might be Jackson Dart on Sunday. It might be Jackson Dart.
But why if you okay?
I'm just telling you what I've seen, what I've heard.
Either way, I don't see anybody being able to protect either quarterback. Is what I'm getting at with. So I could see, I could see if Jackson Dart does come back, him getting injured pretty quick. And I like JJ McCarthy's chances against the Giants defense. I'm going to go with this being a 10-point game. Okay. Just because I see both the run game working out for the Vikings and JJ McCarthy. Either he'll be slinging it and having a big day, or he'll just make some, smart, quick, safe throws, which is also fine for right now. And kind of eat up that clock a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a big game. Like this is a game that the Vikings can and should probably easily win. New York has not really posed a threat to anybody that they've played. They've had some games where they've been close, but just have not been able to get over the hump, have not been able to pull it off. So I really like this matchup for Minnesota's defense against the offense of the Giants. Whether it's Jameis Winston or Jackson Dart, I just don't see the offense having the horses to do much of anything against the Vikings defense. This potentially, to me, could be another sort of situation like it was against the Commanders, where you could possibly walk away with a shutout victory, and your offense for the Vikings just easily rolls to getting points on the board and leaving New York with a comfortable victory. Um, I think this is a 10, even 14 point victory for the Vikings. JJ McCarthy, as I said, they're playing with house money. He can just go in there, play loose, play free, and be able to, you know, kind of show a little bit more of that development and show what the future is going to look like for the Vikings. So I would agree with your assessment. Regardless of the quarterback for New York, this is a victory for the Vikings comfortably. Comfortably.
Yeah, and the last game we have is the Steelers at the Lions. PJ, I'm going to let you take this away with your assessment given your former quarterback and
Former
all
quarterback.
that.
I right now I like the Steelers. I don't know how much of the Steelers you have watched, but Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and they did go out and get Valdez Scantling. Um, so Aaron Rodgers is in his kind of potential last year has been kind of getting the band back together a little bit. But they looked phenomenal in their game this past weekend. The Steelers looked phenomenal. I like Aaron Rodgers to go ahead and roll into Detroit and just do what he knows how to do, beat Detroit. Um, I think there's a little bit of voodoo magic left in that right arm of Aaron Rodgers. I like Mike Tomlin as a coach. I like what the offense has been doing for the Steelers, and I like how their defense has been playing. So I'm going to take the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers to win this one by 7. I think that's a fairly conservative pick. I'm not going to go wild with that, but I like the Steelers to roll into Detroit and get the win and really kind of put the nail in the coffin for any playoff hopes for the Lions.
Yeah, I think the infighting for the Giants is going to destroy them through the rest of the season. So I'm going to go, yeah, same. Since there is so much drama, I'm going to go same. It's going to be a win by 7. It's going to be close. Yeah, I just don't see the Detroit Lions being on the same page right now in any way, shape, or form, which is really unfortunate.
It is because I mean we've talked about this. They a few years ago, last year they've been a contending team, and kind of the fall from the mountaintop has been rough for the Lions this year. So we'll we'll see how that unfolds. But I like Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin to roll into Detroit here, get a victory. So again, we agree. We're outside of the Bears pick, we are pretty unanimous with our picks here.
You know what's funny? In that game for the Steelers, they have two former NFC North names. One is more recent than the other. One was the early 2000s with Mike Tomlin as a assistant coach for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
And another is Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. So
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
funny to see that come full circle.
Yeah. I think it's just been fun to watch Aaron Rodgers go on this kind of last hurrah tour this whole year and just kind of we clearly know that regardless of what the outcome is, right? Whatever the Steelers end up doing this year, I think this is probably Aaron Rodgers' last year as an NFL quarterback. Unless if he miraculously wins a Super Bowl, that might convince him to come back for one more year and try to, kind of wind back the clock one more time. But I really think that if you end up not getting to a Super Bowl, this is kind of, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you might just shut it down after this year. So,
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
you know, I mean, many quarterbacks. We've thought many quarterbacks were done. Many times. We thought it with Brett Favre, and then he played for two more. He played 4 more years, and for two other teams. You know, Aaron Rodgers is now 41, and he's on his third team. Tom Brady, did went to Tampa Bay and won a whole another Super Bowl before he retired at age 44. So, you know, we'll
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. Oh, well, with that, I think that's we wrap it up and let everybody get on with the rest of the day, the rest of their weekend. Hope you enjoy the football, and we'll probably, I likely think that we'll take a little bit of a hiatus, and we'll be back after Christmas to talk to everybody. Um, we might pop on, but one of us is going to sunny California, so lucky you, lucky you.
And
So
the other has a bunch of family commitments, and we'll let you figure out which.
yeah, exactly. We'll let you kind of deduce that, but we will be back, likely after Christmas to talk more about the NFC North. So until then, peace out, everybody.
Peace.